So out of all the things that we've accused the MAGA of being gullible of throughout the years, this newest one, if they fall for it, they are the dumbest people in the entire damn universe. Now, I've been talking for a while about the whole Epstein scandal and about how the Democrats keep wanting all the files released, but the Republicans look guilty because they keep trying to hide it or avoid it or even going on vacation to get away from it. Meanwhile, Pam Bondi apparently told Trump back in May that he was in those files. But now we have the Deputy AG, Todd Blanche, going twice to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. They said they asked her about over 100 people and she answered every question. This is interesting because the MAGA are now trying to claim that she's just a victim or something, and that she's been silenced. But up until now, she has refused to talk to the authorities, she did not testify at her trial, and she and her lawyers refused to offer any defense. That's not somebody who's been silenced. They chose to be silent. But the MAGA's new narrative now is that Dumpy is in those files because he was a whistleblower on Epstein. This ridiculous garbage is even being touted by people like the drunken millennial who took time out of his busy schedule of pissing his pants to start shitting out of his mouth. And they don't realize just how much they're being made fun of around the world for this dumb narrative. As my friend JL pointed out, who you should go follow, the Times of India is massively raking the MAGA over the coals for this idiotic theory. They're saying now that suddenly him being in those files is not an implication of guilt, but a badge of martyrdom because he's a whistleblower, not an accomplice of the guy he was friends with for 20 years. And they say in this telling, he's the hero who tried to bring down the pedophile ring, and the deep state, in a final act of vengeance, buried his name in those documents that his followers now demand to see, yet he refuses to show. It's a seductive narrative, but it's also completely unsupported by facts. And the MAGA are preparing themselves to continue swallowing this horseshit. Because remember, they have no critical thinking skills, and they only care if their savior comes out looking like a golden turd. I mean, once again, this meme tells you everything you need to know because it's perfectly accurate. They thought it was hilarious when people had decals of Biden tied up in the back of their truck. Yet they're all butthurt the second Trump shows up on an episode of South Park. Remember, if they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. But the important thing to remember is that Maxwell was given limited immunity before her meeting with Todd Blanche. And there is absolutely no reason that she would get that, and that she would be so forthcoming all of a sudden after refusing to talk up to this point, unless she already had a pardon lined up. And like I've said, under normal circumstances, him pardoning her would send the MAGA into a frenzy, and they would be incredibly pissed at him, because the Epstein files are something they actually cared about. But there is an angle the Republicans are going for that's going to try to make him look like the hero. Once again, another meme puts it perfectly. Here's what we can expect over the coming weeks, and for MAGA to fall for it 100%. Ghislaine Maxwell will name a bunch of Democrats and maybe throw in a few names of billionaires. She will say absolutely nothing about Trump, and he will then come out and claim, "I did nothing wrong." MAGA, being the gullible rubes they are, will then praise her for taking down the pedophiles. And then finally, Trump pardons her for telling the truth, which is the only way he can pardon her and not look guilty as fuck. Go ahead and screenshot this. Be ready for when this happens, because it is going to be probably one of the most embarrassing fucking moments in our country. When the MAGA screams for years about bringing pedos to justice, only to find out that one of their own is on that list, then to somehow do gymnastics to pretend that that's a good thing, pretend that in being lifelong friends with the guy who committed all of those crimes, that somehow he's actually a whistleblower, and he will release someone who was given 20 years for trafficking, and they will consider him a hero for it. And in continuing with the history of the Republican Party, the rest of us will just say the same thing we've been saying from the beginning. That the Republicans never gave a shit about this in the first place, because not only are they complicit, but their orange god king is a fucking disgusting pig.